This is Marco Reus.
This is Shinji Kagawa.
This is Nuri Shahin.
Hello, this is Jadon Sancho.
And you're listening to the Yellow Wall podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 541 of the Yellow Wall Pod. I'm your host Stefan Butzko, and today we will take a closer look on Konstantinos Karetsas, who has been heavily linked with a move to Borussia Dortmund in the past week. To do that, I'm joined by Wim Nijst from TerrilTalks, a KRC Genk podcast. Wim, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, nice from you to invite me for the show. Very well. Unfortunately, we're gonna lose our best player to probably Dortmund, but for the rest, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, it's not confirmed yet, but the indication really is that he's leaving for Dortmund. There are reports that Dortmund and Karetsas have agreed on personal terms and like a 5-year deal, and already is being reported that these things are being agreed upon. So the things that needs to be ironed out apparently is the transfer fee and how much the sell-on clause will be, etc. But let's talk about him. So he's 18 years old, turns 19 in November. He is about 1.71 meters tall. For the American listeners, that's 5'7". He's born in Genk to Greek parents, played for Genk's youth, and then played in Anderlecht for 3 years before returning to Genk and made his professional debut there. He is the youngest goalscorer in the Pro League, 92 appearances for club and country, which he later switched to Greece, something we maybe talk about in a minute. And so far in those 92 appearances, he has scored 6 goals and 23 assists. But before I blabber on much more, Wim, how would you describe the player and why is he regarded one of Europe's biggest talents?
Yeah, first of all, you did your homework very well, so I won't come back to that again. Kos Karetsas is a very special player. So we're in Genk, we are a formation club, and we see and come and go lots of players. We develop lots of players from our own youth, but also players that come in from the age of 16 to 21. For example, I think in the World Cup we had 26 players who are developed in Genk. For example, the most famous are Thibaut Courtois and Kevin De Bruyne, but also Leandro Trossard, and Bilal El Khanous who's playing at Stuttgart. You will know him as well. So I think we have a good eye for talent, and I think we can say honestly that Karetsas is a generational talent, not just a good player. For example, we all thought Bilal El Khanous is a very good player, but not the kind of talent that Kos Karetsas is. So he's special. What makes him so special is, it's a combination of things. Obviously, he has lots of talent. He combines an exceptional technique with a high intelligence of play. So, and also his technique, it's not the kind of player who dribbles 3 players and goes back to dribble the 4th player as well. It's functional technique that he has. He always plays forwards. That's important as well, and he sees solutions that others don't see. So that's quite remarkable for a player at his age. But he combines that with a good mentality. He's a smart fellow. He really knows what he wants. He's someone who is willing to take his responsibility in a team. So, in a nutshell, it's something we expect a lot of, even when he will be playing abroad.
Yeah, I'm really interested, of course, to hear more about that. So, talk about his development at Genk for now, from his debut, if you will, to how he's ended his season now. I think, what was it, like 1.5 years, maybe a little longer, maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah. So obviously he was born actually like three blocks down from the stadium of KRC Genk. So he's really a homegrown player in every context of the word. Yeah. So he played for the youth for almost all his career. There was a slight hiccup where he went to Anderlecht. It was because he had a discussion with a coach, and we were very glad that he came back to KRC Genk. And then he made his debut, and like you said, he became the youngest scorer in the league. And he had some very good first games. This season should have been the season that he would, well, be our best player. We expected a lot of him, and to be honest, it didn't come all out as we expected it would be, and it was due to a reason of circumstances. He had some small injuries. Nothing big, but some small injuries, and also it's not so uncommon. We see it a lot with young developing players, that the second year is the most difficult year. So he had some good runs this season, especially in the Europa League. It was very good. There's a bit more space in the Europa League. I think he tries better in competitions where there's more space. I think that's why I personally think he would do well in the Bundesliga, because the Belgian competition is actually it's quite underrated, but it's one of the most physical competitions in Europe. And I've seen a ranking. We scored. It's more physical, for example, more defending than, for example, France, which has that label as well. So in Europe, when there was a little bit more space, he thrived and was better than expectations as well. I think there he will be noticed by clubs of the likes of Borussia Dortmund, but also the other clubs who are interested, like AC Milan and Paris Saint-Germain. So we all feel, that's the pity of modern football. We all feel he would do better to stay one more year. But on the other hand, we're so glad that we have seen him play for 1.5 years in our first team. I think he has everything what it takes to make the next step, and we all think that a team like Borussia Dortmund is actually a good step for him, because I think Borussia Dortmund is a team that is known to develop players as well, but obviously at a bigger stage. So I think that's also what we hear in the corridors of the stadium. We all hear he really wants to come to Borussia Dortmund more than to go elsewhere, because like I said, his parents are very down to earth, and they have set a clear career path for him. And I think for them, for the family Karetsas, Dortmund is the right next step. I think he could compete there at a high level, play in front of passionate fans, potentially also gain some Champions League experience. While developing more as a player, I think Julian Brandt left quite some big boots to fill. I don't think he will be ready from the start to fill those boots, but give him some time, and I think he will even be a potential better player than Julian Brandt, and I say that with all respect for Julian, but he's really special.
Yeah, I mean, you already said generational talent, and when I hear generational talent, I'll be honest, I don't think of Julian Brandt. I don't think he's quite in that category.
No.
Mario Götze was in that category. Marco Reus,
Yes.
for sure, also was. Other than that, I think in Germany we can maybe talk about Musiala and maybe Mesut Özil. Mesut Özil is maybe one of the comps, especially a young Mesut Özil when he was still playing for Schalke and Bremen, that I'm very much reminded of when I see Karetsas play, because it's not just the dribbling, but it's also those through balls that you just mentioned earlier, the solutions that no one else sees. I think that's what makes him really special and sets him apart from other peers at his age. And so yeah, that is obviously his main strength. I would say, he's not the most threatening goal scorer yet. But you can also see that he is, even though he's left-footed, he can really whack it with the right foot too. That's certainly something we've seen, for example, with Ousmane Dembélé at Dortmund, someone that was pretty ambidextrous as well. So I'm excited for this to happen.
Yeah, for the scoring part, because we saw him play with youth teams as well, and there he scored very easily. So I think that's really the story of the ketchup bottle. The Heinz ketchup. It doesn't come out, but when it comes plenty. So I think that could be the same with him, and also. What's so different about him? He always plays with a lot of confidence, but at the same time, he never looks arrogant. So he always wants the ball, even under pressure. He doesn't hide when the game becomes difficult. So those are the little things that makes those players special, and I think he really has all those qualities. You always have to say you never know how a player develops further, but he ticks all the boxes to become a player like the likes you named earlier. I don't think he's at the same level as a Musiala, who was even further at his age, but I think he can be just below that level.
Yeah, which would still be very, very good. And honestly, Jamal Musiala, he has run into a wall recently a little bit too. He had a long injury, and I wouldn't say that he is currently where people projected him to be. I think before his big injury, I don't even know exactly what he had, but he was certainly on a higher level than he is playing right now, especially at the World Cup. You saw that he was still struggling. But there are certainly a lot of players in that category right now who are showing that it can be. So yeah, my question really was, and you've already answered it in part, because of the gap that Julian Brandt is leaving, and maybe also what makes Dortmund so attractive for Karetsas right now is that they don't really have a designated number 10. They don't have that starting player, and you said that he likes to take on responsibility, but at the same time, if he makes this move to Dortmund, the price tag would probably be somewhere around the 30 to 35 million euro mark plus add-ons, etc. So the package would probably be somewhere between 35 and 40 million euros. And that's obviously a big price tag. That's something that can wear on the player's shoulders. So I just want to drill down on that a little bit, because my assumption as of right now, and the squad building is obviously not complete, and Dortmund still have other players that can play these positions, like, for example, Sabitzer. Different player type, of course, but can still play in the position. Chukwuemeka is a player that's also more of a central midfielder, but can also play more high up in the number 10 slot. Karetsas is someone I assume would also play relatively centrally, since under Niko Kovac, Dortmund don't really have wing play, but obviously players still can drift wide. So my question to you is, do you think that he needs a lot of time to, if he really gets that role of a starting player, to acclimatize at Dortmund, and maybe the first year might be a little bit of a wash in quotation marks, and then the second year is probably where we can expect some more fireworks? Or do you think he is going to be, I don't want to say instantaneous, but Jude Bellingham, for example, he came over when he was it 16 or 17, and he instantly produced fireworks. Do you think we'll have more of a Jude Bellingham thing with him, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more of a patient route we need to take with Karetsas?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think, like I said, I think he has all the qualities to make it have a direct impact. But I think he has to mature a little bit more physically. So I think he has made big steps already this season. But I think he might need a little bit more time just to get used to the German style of play. but it wouldn't surprise me if he could have an immediate impact. It's also it's like always in football. It's all about timing, coming in at the right moment. And then sometimes things can go quick. So I really don't know if he will have an impact directly on the number 10 position, because actually in Greece, the Greek national team, he plays from the right wing. More than the central position, and he comes in from the right wing, and he played his best games for Genk on that position as well. But that has more to do with the way we play, the way the Greek national team play. I think if you ask him, he will always tell you he's a number 10. So. Yeah, we'll see. It's difficult to tell. I think he could make a direct impact, but yeah, it's if I knew it, I would fill in the lottery ticket in a moment. So, but I think he has the qualities to make a direct impact.
All right. So, what are the weaknesses that he still needs to work on?
Well, scoring, obviously, is decisive. I think in half the games he plays, he's very decisive. But he has to be more consistent as well. He's, like I said, if you count everything, he's decisive in one out of two games, but it's mostly with periods. So there's sometimes 2, 3, 4 games that he isn't that decisive. So that's something he should work on, and even improve more on his statistics. So for the rest, I think it's quite complete. And like I said, his physical abilities as well. Certainly when playing at a high level at like Dortmund, it's always the combination from physical play with technical and fast playing. So I think he has to, in all kinds of the words, grow a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I also am intrigued to find out how his defensive and tactical instincts are, but he's 18 years old, so you can't expect too much there. I think Dortmund, if he plays number 10 and under Niko Kovac, he is a very strict coach, so he might actually not get a lot of playing time if he's not on the level that he's expected to be on, honestly. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that is, but honestly, I think Dortmund are a very good place for him to develop, because how the squad is right now, I think there are plenty of minutes for him to rack up, and sometimes it's also not the best thing to be an instant starter. Maybe he can come off the bench for the first half of the season and make a bigger impact that way. But yeah, it's interesting that you say that he has more success statistically on the right wing. I think that makes sense, because he is dribbling more in 1v1 situations, and if you're centrally, you usually have to dribble past more players, and dribbling is such a big aspect of his game. Yeah, are there any other things you want to mention about Karetsas? Because I'm already pretty pleased.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I'm not telling him too much, because we don't want to lose him, of course. But it's not us who are making the decisions. No. Maybe a last thing to add, and that's something I think the Dortmund fans will like as well. He's also someone who likes to work hard for the team. So I remember we have one very critical ex-coach who was always commenting in the games from Genk, and he was always commenting on players who don't work for the team, don't do their defensive work. And he always points out that's the first thing that Karetsas does as well. So he's very mature. We always forget he's only 18 years old, 19 years in a bit. But he's quite a complete player if he gets more consistent. And I think the sky's the limit. For us, as KRC Genk fan, it's nice that he's going to a club like Dortmund, who is Well, it's not too far from KRC Genk. I've actually never been to Dortmund. I've seen a lot of games in German league, so it would be a perfect excuse to see the Gelbe Wand with my own eyes. We once played Dortmund with KRC Genk, and I sold my ticket at the last moment. It was unfortunate because we beat Dortmund at your own home in the Intertoto, but that's a very long time ago. So it would be a perfect excuse to go see one of our own in one of the most beautiful stadiums and exciting stadiums in the world.
Well, you're more than welcome to come over. I think the drive is not that long from Genk. I think, what is it, 2 hours, 2.5 maybe?
2 hours, yeah. It's not more than 2 hours.
Yeah, you can maybe even take the train. So that's all good information. Do you want to talk about his decision to become a Greece national team player at the end, even though he played mostly for the Belgium national team throughout his youth?
Yeah, this will sound very familiar to a lot of German fans, but Genk is a mining town, and so we have lots of nationalities in Genk. Lots of people from Turkey, Greece, Italian people as well. So there's a large community of Greek people in Genk. So for me, it wasn't a real surprise that he chose for Greece because, well, at that age you're more romantic. How should I put it? And I think the pride that the Greek feel. I have a Greek friend who's a Genk fan as well, and well, if you ask him, he will always be Greek first, and then Belgium second. Although he lived all his life in Belgium, I think it's the same with the Karetsas family. They're very proud, and honestly, his father said it was 100% his choice. We never asked him to choose for Greece, but. At the same time, I think, and that's a bit of pity, but when you're playing for Genk, you don't always get the same amount of respect that if you play for Anderlecht or Club Brugge, and it's maybe the fan talking, but it's so difficult. Most of the most important players of the national team are coming from Genk, and it's always the youth players from Genk who are chosen last for the national team. And it was a bit the same discussion with Karetsas as well. There's more competition at the Belgian national team than at the Greek national team, who have a good young squad. But obviously in KRC Genk you have the likes of Trossard, Doku. Well, in the center field you have Kevin De Bruyne, obviously, and Hans van Aken, who has played very well in the Champions League this year. So that was more difficult for him. And I think if you combine those two things with the pride he has as being, well, Greek as well, and the chances that were there in Greece, they were really, really making advances to cause that he should come and play for Greece. So I think that finally made his choice. But if you ask him, he will always say it was after a talk with my grandfather that he decided to go play for Greece. And well, he's one of the superstars of the Greek national team. There were a few friends who were in Greece recently, and everywhere you come, you see the Greek shirts, and they only say one name, and that's Karetsas. So that's obviously, and he scored in his first game at in Scotland. Well, it was an instant hit for him there, so I hope he can do the same at his next club.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wim. Do you have anything to plug that, whether it be TerrilTalks or anything else that you want to mention that people can follow?
I would say follow TerrilTalks, but I think even though Dutch and German is not that much different, I think it will be not easy to follow, and I don't think the Belgian league is that interesting compared to the Bundesliga. But no, I will definitely follow your podcast just to hear how Kos is doing, and if he is going to Dortmund, I hope it will become a regular very soon, because it will be something we would be very proud of as well.
Yeah, very last important question. What's the exact nickname you're calling him? Because you're not saying Karetsas a lot.
Kos. Kos is his first name, but with all the fans, we all say Kos. We don't say Karetsas.
All right. That is very important to note. I'm sure we'll learn more about him soon if he actually does sign for Dortmund, but all signs are pointing in that direction. So, Wim, thank you very much for coming on. And in our next episode, we will talk about how he will actually fit into Dortmund's system and setup. We'll maybe roll out the big board and drop some names of what Dortmund's current starting 11 looks like, and how he molds into that. Until then, as always, thank you for listening and goodbye.